Entertalk Radio, you're in to all things music.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey everybody, happy Friday. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott, your host, and a man who will not cancel his show due to some pesky mutant China-created biological weapon virus, which is actually more like a common cold, that's named after a tasty beer, honestly. The show will go on. The show will go on with hand sanitizer and appropriate amounts of caution and no panic. And Paul is here, too. He's braving the workplace today. He's the only one at Entertalk Radio. Everybody else is scared to death.
Yeah.
He's washing his hands for that full 20 seconds, singing the chorus of Mr. Brightside or Lizzo.
Lizzo, that's a good one.
That's a good one. It's a 20-second chorus.
I mean, that's usually in my head anyway. I might as well do something useful with it.
So you guys are taking care of business down in Entertalk. It's a beautiful day in Southern California. It started out kind of rainy and misty, but it's gorgeous out there today. Yeah. Loving it. You getting out and seeing some of the weather, getting out in the weather today?
Maybe when I get out of here a little bit.
Nice. Well, cool. You guys are smart. You have tuned into the big show. This is episode 149 of the show. I get to 150 and they can retire my number in the Hall of Fame in Entertalk Radio. I'll be the first one in the Entertalk Hall of Fame. I'm looking forward to the induction ceremony. It's going to be great. I'm a first ballot consideration for that, by the way, just so you know. So who am I? What do I do? Why are you listening to me? That sort of thing. I run a public relations and marketing company in Southern California, and I help companies tell better stories so they can win in the marketplace in marketing and all that fun stuff. And I'm a certified story brand guide now, so I create even better brand stories, website wireframes, sales copy, of course, my secret weapon, public relations, media and influencer relations, especially for my army of clients. A lot of fun. You can reach me a lot of different ways. You can send an email to Scott@RobertsonCom, 2M's like communications.com. You can find me on Twitter @RobertsonCom, and then also on Facebook at facebook.com/RobertsonCom. There you go. That's how you find me. Reach out, send me an email. Let me know what you think of the show. Let me know what you think of the different topics and how they're affecting you out there. As I mentioned, this episode is 149, and I call it More Than Words. Everything that we do in marketing, it starts at the same place. It starts with words, not logos, not photos, not websites, not videos, not anything else but words. Words that we use can either bring confusion or clarity to our audience, and they can mean the difference between growth or a big old out of business sign for the company. So in this episode, we're going to dig deep on words and why they still matter in a world of puppy videos and fear over the common cold, the common corona cold. And we'll also hit who's winning and losing, and there's going to be all sorts of sanitized for your protection fun on this, what I promise to be a virus-free edition of May the Best Brand Win right here. So let's dig into words a bit. I spend a lot of my time working on words. I always have my entire career. I'm a big believer in that. So basically defined as a single distinct meaningful element of speech or writing used with others or sometimes alone to form a sentence and typically shown with a space on either side when written or printed. That's what words are. But in societal terms and marketing terms, they're an agreement. We agree that this thing in front of me is called a microphone. And we all say, okay, well, then that's what a microphone does. And we have an agreement. It's a learned thing throughout the course of our lives, right? We teach our kids when they're small that this is what this is, and this is what this is. And there's, children's books are full of that stuff, right? But essentially, they're an agreement that we've created with each other. They're no more true than the focus of that agreement. And it's really important that you kind of know that, because the agreement changes. The agreement changes over time, and you gotta know that. You gotta know that it's not a static thing. The words change. Words change. Words change their meaning. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show, a little bit of that. But first, they matter. Words matter in our conversations. First of all, I was reading an article in Psychology Today about this subject, and it's really just talking about the phrase "I love you," and how the phrase "I love you" has sometimes been shortened to "love ya." And love ya, hey love, love ya, and people have substituted the words. Instead of saying goodbye, they say love ya. And what in this person's mind, in doing so, and the person who's writing this is a behavioral therapist and a psychologist. It's Psychology Today, after all. And that person says, we have kind of debased the loftiness of the word love. So by simply adding the word I back into the expression, what he says is that you can commit to a deeply authentic and emotional offering. And if you want to make that statement even more profound, you use the I, the I in there, right? Because it doesn't just mean love you, that kind of thing. You're actually kind of speaking for yourself, right? And somebody might say, well, that's just one word, right? So why would that be a thing, But it really is, and what this person says is, it says our words matter. The words we choose convey our thoughts and feelings. Aside from our nonverbal communication, words are the heartbeat of our relationships. We use kind of a shortcut of language, as this person says, when we kind of like texting. When we're leaving a store or restaurant, you can hear "Have a good one," but that's the same amount of words as "have a good day," but there's something kind of callous to the ear about one, that kind of thing. How are you is another one that this behavioral therapist talks about, and says, if you say, hi, how are you? The other person smiles, says good, and you, and smiles similarly. However, none of that is a real interaction, because really, if you actually told them how you were, it's like, people aren't telling you how they are when you ask them, how are you? That kind of thing. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing, right? And if they did, there's even comedians have done things, and they said, if you actually did respond with how you were actually doing in that minute, it's going to take longer to explain how you are. Chances are it's not always positive, that kind of thing. And it can be kind of funny. So anyway, words matter in our conversations. I encourage you to read that the whole article is really, really strong, and it's called "Our Words Matter." It's in the April issue of Psychology Today. So we know they matter in our conversations. Words matter in our emails. There was an article that just came out today from Fast Company or something, talking about sort of the top words that people wish they didn't include in emails. And some of them were like the salutations. They said, don't use salutations like cheers or best or things like that, because they're kind of meaningless. Instead, use the favorite one that people use right now here in 2020 is kind regards. Kind regards, right? And that's interesting. I usually sign mine with, if I think about it in emails, I usually sign it with thanks, thanks, because I'm usually thanking somebody for something. So I usually sign it with thanks, I got to say. And then there was a discussion that a group of PR people had online earlier this week about emails, where they talk about, at the beginning of an email, when you say, hey, I hope you're well, or I hope this finds you well, and that kind of thing. And that just kind of comes from the formality that preceded emails of letter writing, which is that, you don't dive right into the business at hand. You want to kind of break the ice first, especially if you have a relationship with the person. If it's a stranger and you're asking, I hope you're well, it's like, that's kind of meaningless. One person suggested that you should change that up. One person in the PR forum said they should change it up to, I hope your blood, being real specific about how I hope you're well. So like, I hope you're having regular bowel movements and that your blood pressure is right in line, right in the range that it's supposed to be, or something like that. Just something that would be kind of catch your attention. And that could be funny. To me, you write to the level of the person that you're writing to. Right. People, if people were going to ask me, Scott, how do you sign emails? It depends. It depends on who I'm writing to. If I'm writing to the band, it's going to be a little more crass, and it's going to be a little more, we have a familiarity there from sharing music on stage, and it's going to be a little different language than it's going to be with a client or with a prospect or with a journalist. I mean, it depends. The words that I use on an email are never the same. I don't have a standard greeting. It depends. I don't have a standard, salutation at the end. I don't have that. I guess, like I said, I kind of use thanks. And if it's not in the salutation at the end, it's in the email usually, because I'm usually thanking somebody for something. I got to say that's how I find myself. But words do matter in emails, and you see these kind of studies come out every once in a while of things that you're using. But apparently, if you want to know and you want to be in the know of this whole thing, kind regards is the way you should be signing your emails to your various peoples. So words matter in conversations. They matter in email. They matter in branding. They are really, really important. They get left off of branding a lot. When most people say branding, they're instantly thinking about the logo. They're like, oh, what's the logo? What's the brand? What's that kind of thing? And I don't know if it's the graphic arts industry training people to believe that it's like the logo first. That misinformation does not serve them, and it does not serve you. The message is always first. This is an unavoidable, absolute, 100% absolute in marketing, is that the message precedes everything. And if it doesn't, then your marketing sucks. Your marketing is not going to work. If you have a graphic artist that's putting together your messaging, those are not the greatest verbal communicators I've ever met in my career. You're probably leaving some opportunity on the table. Now, there can be graphic artists that are good writers too. I've met a few of those. But don't take your chances, man. Make sure that you don't take chances with that. Make sure you've got you've really spent time on the message before you're discussing visuals. Really, one of the most important things in branding is that. So I always kind of tell my clients MVT: message, visuals, followed by tactics, right? And of course, strategy is in there with message, but it messes up the whole MVT thing, so we don't do it. In StoryBrand, what Donald Miller says, and in his book, Building a Story Brand, he says this multiple times. In his forthcoming book, Marketing Made Simple, he says this many times too. The reality is people buy products only after they read words that make them want to buy those products. So, a lot of businesses talk to customers the wrong way. And if you keep doing that, you lose to the competitors. That's why the StoryBrand framework is so good, because you can clarify your message so customers listen. The framework definitely changes the way that you talk about your products and services, and sometimes it even changes the way people do business. Really important stuff to know. Not a lot of marketers understand that message comes first, and if they do, they don't spend adequate time on it. I recommend for startup companies, if I'm just starting out with a company, we need to spend about 15, 20 hours working on the message. And people say, oh, Scott, we've already created the message. It probably sucks. It's probably awful. It's probably not very good. Just to throw it back to you. And so, if you're going to engage me, one of the things that you definitely want me doing, is taking apart that message, because we want to make sure that thing is bulletproof when we take it out to different audiences. We want to make sure that it's really good. It's really clear. It just couldn't be any clearer. Like a caveman walks in, after buying up all the toilet paper, thinking he's going to get the coronavirus, and goes, me understand what you do now. You've got to make things that simple. Right. You've got to make things that simple in this world. You're living in a world where 38% of the population feels like they're going to get the coronavirus if they drink Corona beer. Just so you know. I mean, so whatever grade level you think you're at and you've got it, you need to drop it down a couple. Society will let you down in their ability to understand what the hell it is that you're talking about. And that's why we spend so much time on it in branding. And by the way, don't ever do branding and go for that visual first. If you're a graphic artist out there and you're listening to this show and the customer and it comes to you and says, we need a logo design, you ask them the question, what have you done in terms of the message? Is the message clear? If it's not clear to you, stop working. Get someone on board that understands the message. Don't build a website without it. I talked to a guy this week. He goes, oh yeah, a client just hired me and I'm going to build a website. And I said, oh, how's the message? And he goes, oh, the messaging's terrible. The messaging's terrible. I could definitely use you, but I'm going to go ahead and build the website and that kind of thing. And maybe I can get you in down the line to fix the message. I'm like, no offense, but what the hell's the matter with you? It's like, you're going to invest the client's money, those kind of things, and you're going to build something just because you can, but not because you should. And at the end of the day, you're going to have this awful friggin' website to add to the cacophony of friggin' awful websites that pollute the environment of our, cyberspace. You're going to have another terrible website is born, And I'm just stunned by that. And he says, well, I build websites and I'll just take their message and it's really bad. And we'll just try to, put lipstick on that pig and we'll just try to make it kind of work. And I was just like, man, it takes so little time, to do it right as compared to what's going to happen is that website's going to launch. It's going to fail. It's going to be terrible. And then eventually they're going to have to bring somebody in like me to fix the message, which they should have done before they launched the stupid thing, right? One more quick thing on branding, just what we're talking about, the virus. The words we use to describe the virus are very frightening. They call it the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, -19. But in actuality, and if you strip all that bullshit away, it's just a cold. Right? It's like a cold, like maybe a flu. It doesn't even mutate like a flu, so it's like a cold. So I advocate calling it the corona cold. Try that today. Take every piece of news coverage that you see where they're talking about the coronavirus, novel coronavirus, and all those kind of things, and just substitute the word cold in there. They're like cruise ship, quarantined because of cold. Event canceled because of cold. And you realize just how stupid, how fearful and stupid we behave as human beings. And that's your first step to understanding and being able to do great marketing. And you're smart because you're listening to me, the best brand win on Entertalk. Come on back. I'm going to tell you who's winning and losing. Thank you.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EntertalkRadio.com.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, everybody. It is a big sunny Friday in Southern California, and I am your host, Scott, a man who is talking about words today. I got Paul hanging out. Paul,
words
you think
good.
about the think about the words and the messages you use?
Words good do.
There you go. I like that. Kind of. It's not quite in the right order, but if you work on it, you could get that sales pitch going.
My logo is outstanding, though. I'm not worried.
You got a killer logo, but no words to go along with it. I've seen it. You should see my face. If you could have seen my face when that person was, when that website developer was telling me that, he goes, oh, I'm building the website anyway. And I was like, I gotta go. I have to leave now. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Too much fun.
Yeah.
Shall we dig into who's winning and losing?
Yeah, give it to me.
All right. So let's start with the Corona cold. A health official in San Jose, California, was warning people about, doing one of those briefings about what you shouldn't do, and says, and one of the most important things to do is not to touch your face. And then 1 second after saying that, she licks her finger and turns the page of the thing. And the internet just went ballistic when she licked her finger. And they go, oh, don't touch your face, but licking your finger is totally fine. And this is the director of the Santa Clara County Public Health Department. She listed off a number of members of people that can help spread the cold, with one of them being to avoid touching your face. And then moments later, she can be seen in the video, and I can't do it justice. You need to see it. Dr. Cody can be seen licking her own finger to turn over a page in her notes. And of course, the internet went ballistic on that. So from a public relations standpoint, yeah, that's a fail. That's all bad. And, do as I say, that's losing, and do as I say, not as I do. Man. So the Pointer organization that sort of oversees and watchdog for journalism basically came out with an article that is entitled "How Newsrooms Can Tone Down Their Corona Cold Coverage While Still Reporting Responsibly." So here's what they said. They said, "I don't know of any journalist who sets out to scare people. But reporters may unintentionally alarm their audiences with shoddy coverage of a virus that's entered a frenzied news cycle that may lead to panic and ineffective overreaction." I love the Pointer Institute. They just cut through the crap, don't they? I love them. It's time we start thinking carefully about the headlines and images we use to cover the story. Context is critical, and there are important local stories to be told that don't emphasize the virus's doom and gloom. Oh man, I love the Pointer Institute because they will come down and lay the friggin' beat down on journalism all the time, and journalism needs it because when you scare the crap out of people about a virus, they run to Costco and inexplicably buy out all the toilet paper and the paper towels and the hand sanitizer and the water bottles, and no one understands why, and then the rest of us we don't have any toilet paper, right? And that's a problem. It's a significant problem because we live in a society full of idiots that are so easily swayed by the news media that they will run out to stores and buy out all the supplies. Okay. So journalism, knowing that you're communicating with idiots, you need to make sure that you are, doing so in a way that doesn't lead to what the Poynter Institute refers to as a panic and ineffective overreaction. The run on toilet paper being the physical evidence of such a reaction. Again, as I kind of said at the end of the last segment, the news media could do something to stop this right now. They could just start adding the word cold inside it. Corona cold virus. Corona cold virus. Yeah, it's a cold. It's a cold virus. It is. It sure is. That's medically speaking what it is. And people, the flu is way more deadly than this. And yet people are, holding hands and sucking spit everywhere, all over the place, in cold and flu season. Nobody seems to care about that. Oh, if I get the flu, then whatever, I got a flu shot, blah, 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 whatever. But it's basically the same thing. It's actually not as strong as that, just technically, medically speaking, so you know. And so, but the alarm has been sounded. And like world markets, like the stock market, like completely took a dive, and all of our 401ks are taking a dive over nothing, over literally absolutely nothing. There is nothing here that is a story more than a cold and a flu virus. And once cold and flu season wraps up, there won't be any story left here, and we're all going to feel pretty stupid at that point. Just one more Corona cold story that I want to cover is that some company has created a bubble suit. It's a bubble suit that will protect the public from the illness. It's like I don't think I can do it justice. A lot of people, Daily Mail covered it, Fast Company covered it. It's a big yellow and purple bubble suit that puts you in a bubble, and you're walking around with like kind of the equivalent of kind of bubble wrap. So apparently it's really hot also, and apparently heat kills the corona cold virus. I don't know. They said the virus will be killed by temperatures of 56 degrees Celsius. So the PVC film, there's a heater wire in between the glass or in between the bubbles here, so they can heat the suit up to that and kill the virus. Losing a lot of losing. There's a dignity price for walking around in a bubble wrap suit that has a heater in it. There is it says a lot about you and not in any sort of a positive way. So don't buy this. Don't do this. I don't care where you are in the country, in the world. There's no place in the world where this suit enhances your status or your safety. People will probably try to pop it. People will try to. People like to pop the bubble. Right? They could try to pop you. So don't is my that's my sage marketing advice to that. Moving on from the Corona Cold, did you know you can get a drunk version of Uno? And the rules of the game will have you taking shots. On Delish.com, you got to love Uno, great card game. But if you have a room full of adults who appreciate a good buzz, a boozy twist is welcome. And that's why your next night needs to include the drunk Uno game. Winning, all kinds of winning. The game starts with everyone taking a shot. Well, there you go, pregame. And then when it's your turn to draw a card, if you pick a draw 2, you take one shot, and if you pick up a draw 4, you take 2 shots. And so obviously everyone's under the table when this thing is over. There's no doubt about that. There's a rule they mentioned Delish.com that I wanted to point out. A false Uno, meaning player forgets to call Uno before touching the discard pile. That's a 3-shot penalty. That is 3 shots if you don't call Uno before touching the discard pile. And that's a lot of stakes. That's a lot of stakes happening in the Uno space. So I encourage you, all listeners of the show, to pick up the drunk Uno and make sure that you add that to your next party. That's a winner. There's nothing short of winning happening with that. That's all good. Really clever campaign in New York that is trying to protect the air in New York City by telling drivers to shut off their engines. They basically say, I I love this campaign. This is the kind of outside the box thinking that you want to be doing. If you get the assignment and says, we need to protect the air by telling people to shut their engines off, this is how you want to attack it. They hired Billy Idol and they created the tagline, Billy never idles and neither should you. I love this. I absolutely love the fact it's a new anti-idling advertising and publicity campaign. I mean, it's great. It's just so great to hear from Billy Idol. And if you've seen the visuals are great. It has like tough looking, mean looking Billy Idol there. Billy never idles. Neither should you. Idling is polluting. Shut your engine off. That kind of thing. Oh man. Kudos to the NYC Environmental Protection. Right? That gets attention. It's strong. It is memorable. It is powerful. You would probably actually even do the behavior they're asking you to do. Just all kinds of kudos, right? The right message, right? Great message. Great use of spokesperson. Incredibly creative. Love to see that. All kinds of winning. Oh man, there is so people are calling this black owned and Atlanta-based hygiene brand racist for its Target ad. There's a company called The Honey Pot that creates hygiene products, feminine hygiene products, and it's a black owned brand during Black History Month, and the ad's message was really to encourage African American girls to succeed. Was really received as racist. So a series of reviews on the consumer site Trustpilot, they received negative feedback for the promotion, basically saying that, not just that founders we believe in that kind of thing, but it's because B. Nixon, who's African American, she basically said the reason why it's so important for Honey Pot to do well is so that the next black girl that comes with a great idea, she can have a better opportunity. And that means a lot to me. Now, consumers took issue with Dixon pointing out that black girls would benefit from her product, and and that it was just for black girls, that kind of thing. Lots of people said there was a couple comments that said, "I can't support a company in good faith that is openly racist about their customers." I don't know. I don't know. I can see the point when you lump in a group of people not by individuals but by physical characteristics of any kind, you are absolutely in racist territory. However, I think she was commenting on her, I can see her point. She was commenting on her journey to become an entrepreneur, and she was basically saying, hey, the next person who's like me. And she just said it in a really stupid way. She said it in a way that could be perceived as racist. Had she said, the next entrepreneur like me, the next little black girl like me, if she would have added the words like me in there and that kind of thing, words, we're talking about words, right? It's basically, then people wouldn't say, oh, well, black girls are empowered by using this product, but I guess white girls aren't. I'll be letting Target know about this racist company, yada, yada, yada. Now, by the letter of the law, that is accurate. That is accurate. It is racist. It is racist to say that. However, I think she was talking about herself. I think she was introspectively talking about herself. I think everybody kind of needs to give her a pass on that. I don't, that one doesn't bother me that much. Although people, just watch how you do that. If you're talking about your own journey, make damn well sure you use the phrase like me and really talk about your journey in there. I think so. But losing because they're getting all kinds of, protests and that sort of thing about the language. Words, people, words matter. Just saying. BMW got a new logo. They just unveiled it at a car show in Germany. It's kind of interesting. It still has the blue and white kind of checks. It looks which is like a nod to Germany, Bavaria, all that kind of thing. But the font using for the letters is different. The logo design is flatter than it was before, and I think they did that so that it works on more vehicles and that sort of thing. And also it looks like they can do a few more things with color in the logo that they haven't been able to do before. It's hard to just talk about a logo and describe it, but go to caranddriver.com or there are lots of other places covered it. BMW gets a new logo today. The BMW logo hasn't been redesigned in a long time, almost 100 years, I think they said. They call it a roundrel because it's round, and it's not super different. It just it makes it a little more clear, and it kind of, they can do some different things with color, I think, on it, and the font is a little bit different on BMW. But anyway, winning for BMW, making noise about it, and winning for not redesigning your logo for so long too. I mean, there's all kinds of pressure probably to do that, and they were like, nope, we're BMW, we're not changing it. Sorry. Anyway, that's what I got to say. Oh, man. Well, real quick, Gannett has laid off more newspaper employees. Gannett Newspapers, which recently merged with Gatehouse to form the nation's largest newspaper chain, has now laid off layoffs with inside 11 different newspapers, with 21 total newsroom personnel laid off. 40 additional people eliminated from press room positions at the Springfield, Missouri News Leader, and things like that. So, man, that is not good. That's not good. We need more journalists, not less. We need many more journalists, not less. Right now the narrative is controlled by a very small number of people, and that is very dangerous for democracy. It is very dangerous for the truth, because basically you'll have a lot of people starting to kind of turn the channel and not believing it. And then when the day comes where we need to communicate something, that option isn't going to be available. So anyway, I hate to see it. It's a shame. But hopefully those folks land on their feet. And my last story, so obviously that one was losing. This is No Time to Die, the new James Bond movie, has moved its global release date back, hoping that the theater biz is back at full strength. It was supposed to launch on April 10th, but they pushed it all the way back to November 25th of this year, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. To me, it's also, they probably think that you need to They probably think that because it's a great movie, and they probably are like, well, hey, let's use this in the biggest window that we've got for the theater season, which is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. It's Daniel Craig's last James Bond movie. The last few have made a lot of money for the studio. So anyway, I think that's winning. I think when they talk about it being the virus and everything, I don't think so. I think they realized they had a stronger movie than they thought. When the theater industry makes moves like that, they have cards that they want to play that are better than the cards they thought they had. They have a better movie than they thought they had, and that's why you're seeing it. And that's winning, except for all of us that wanted to see the new Bond film. I was really looking forward to it, to be honest. Anyway, that's who's winning and losing this week. Come on back, and I'm going to give you some tips on how to pick the right words.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EntertalkRadio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. May the best brand win on Entertalk. I am Scott, your host, still hanging out here with Paul B in the house, talking about winning and losing. Paul, what did you like this week from the winning and losing selection?
I kind of like the Billy Idol tag.
Really good. Yeah. Really good, right? I mean, this just really good. I mean, there's no doubt that you would remember that. There's no doubt that you would do that, right?
I don't believe it. I'm sure he idles all day long and twice on Sunday. I don't think he's particularly about following rules all that much.
Like a big motorcycle too, just like blowing pollution into the air too. You know he is. Billy Idol don't care, but it was funny as hell. I love that. I really love that one. That just cracked me up. Man, too much fun. Well, good. This whole show we're talking about words. We're talking about how everything in marketing starts with words, that kind of thing. And so I thought in segment 3 here, I would give you some tips on how to pick the right words. Picking the right words, really, really important stuff. My first tip is pick words that help people survive and thrive and conserve mental calories. And this is straight out of my Story Brand program. Don Miller's Story Brand program from his 2 books about the subject. Your customers' brains are really designed to do 2 things. The first thing we're designed to do is survive and thrive. That means everybody's always looking around for info that's going to help them simplify their life, make more money, meet new friends, anything that's going to kind of increase their standing in the world. The problem is the brain is trying to do something else. It's trying to conserve calories. And in order to process all the information around us, we have to burn those calories, right? So it means that if we don't position our products and services in such a way that's clear, and to help people survive and thrive, people are going to tune us out, so it's like, you want to pick the words, imagine people kind of, I always like this imagery that Don Miller uses. Imagine that you are talking about your business and somebody goes to your website. It's though they're starting to run on a treadmill, and the more confusing you are, the less likely they are to pay attention because you're making them work harder and harder and harder. Imagine every piece of information that you give somebody about your company is like an 8-pound bowling ball. Now, how many bowling balls do you think somebody can hold? After about 3, they are going to drop every single one of them, and they're going to move on and start watching puppy videos, right? So you want to pick the words that's why we talk about clarity so much. That's why we talk about the importance of clarity that help people survive and thrive and conserve mental calories. My second tip is that you want to pick words that create emotions, right? Branding is about transferring emotions, as we've talked about many, many times in the show. If you're going to do branding right, you need to know what emotion you're trying to get people to feel, right? All the big brands know how to do this, right? They know they know what selection of words are going to create that feeling in their customers, right? Like the Take Me Fishing Foundation, they had that ad which has a little girl looking back at you, and says, "Take me fishing because the worms are. I like it when the worms are, squiggly on the hook. Take me fishing because I like it when the boat bounces and that kind of thing. Take me fishing because I love being out in the sunshine." And the last one says, "Take me fishing because my wedding day will be sooner than you think." Now, every father that just heard that, you have an involuntary response. You have goosebumps running all over you. That is guilt. That's the physical embodiment of fear and guilt associated with being a father. It comes in the club, right? If you didn't feel that, you don't have a daughter. Honestly, that's how that feels. I know that ad like the back of my hand. I've talked about it so many times in presentations. When I just said that a few minutes ago, I got goosebumps again. It does that. Those words in that order create that response. That's the essence of branding. That's the essence of marketing, being able to do that. Like Apple, that company, that little company, you've heard of them. They use a lot of words very specifically in their advertising. Actually, Apple's getting really good at not using any words. They can just push it with images and videos and visuals. I mean, Apple's even kind of evolving past it. Now, obviously, internally, folks say, "Well, what do you mean words come first?" It's not like they got there overnight. It's like they sit in a room. That's like the ultimate, martial arts of being able to, you start with words, you figure out what you're trying to get people to do, and then you take them away at the end to kind of show your mastery over, communications and that kind of thing. And they do. There's no two ways about it. Like they use the word powerful a lot. In their one tagline that I've talked about a lot, where they say, "You're more powerful than you think." And then they show like somebody using their products. Powerful is good because they've identified that users of their phones, their very expensive kind of luxury item phones and those kind of things, want to be powerful. They want to be powerful, so they just say, "Look how powerful you are, and have you lost weight? Your butt looks amazing in those pants." You know what I'm saying? That they use stuff like that all the time. Powerful is the trigger that allows you to say, "Yeah, I could be. Look how powerful I could be. All I need to do is just pay them $1,000 and get this phone, and then look how powerful I'll be." And is it a lie that we tell ourselves? Yes, absolutely it is. It's the same lie that when people say, "Oh my God, I think the world's going to end because of the corona cold, and I need to go buy a bunch of toilet paper and paper towels and bottles of water because that's going to make me safe." That is also a lie that we tell ourselves, right? Human beings lie to ourselves all the time about different stuff. So know how to use it. I mean, no offense, but that's what we do here. That's what we do in this department, is that we figure out how to use the right words that are going to create the right emotions, that are going to create the behaviors that are going to drive the brand forward. Right. Disney, masterful with words. They will, they can make you feel stuff with the words that they use. They talk about family and togetherness and magic, right? They talk about magic all the time in a lot of different ways, right? They use the idea of magic visually and show like the fairy dust from that comes and creates kind of an arc of words that are going to appear around the the Disney castle and those kind of things. So, words. It all starts with words. It does. So that's my second tip. My third tip for you is I want you to dump all of your marketing sounding words. And this may be hard for you if you're older in the business and you kind of know how to talk like a marketer and you know how to do all that stuff. It's harder to dump that stuff. But all of that stuff that we used to use is bullcrap and it doesn't work, right? So, dump that stuff. Dump the stuff that is like, robust mobile solutions. Dump anything that is unclear. And if it's clear to you, check with other people and make sure it's clear. Okay? Clear, right? Clarity is the goal. If you have words that rhyme in your tagline, take a good look at that, right? I mean, that sounds to me like that's bullcrap that needs to be cleaned up. All right. If you have a bunch of words that start with the same letter, that's a marketing device, designed to kind of create memorability, but often at the expense of clarity. So if you have create, cure, communicate, and that's like your tagline, that's a bunch of crap that doesn't mean anything, right? So create something that means something, right? Like, like Corona beer could say like beer for smart people. You know what I mean? Instead of, they could do that to kind of combat the whole idea that 38% of the people think they could get the Corona cold from drinking Corona beer. They may have to change the name of that company. Do you know that? Because of the stupidity in the world? I'm just as a quick aside, Corona beer may have to change the name of their entire company due to this situation with the cold, the Corona cold. So all of those things that marketing has proposed to you, where the tagline sounds like a mission statement or those kind of stuff, dump all of that stuff, destroy it, get rid of it, bring it to your retreat, print it on your internal, not customer facing t-shirts, whatever, but get rid of any stuff that isn't clear. Be clear about who you are. Again, help the audience conserve calories, survive and thrive, conserve calories. That comes from the clarity of not, do anything too clever and that sort of thing. Really, really important. My fourth tip is keep up with our agreements, our societal agreements and trends of words. Words are trendy, right? Like cheers used to work. People would sign, the email cheers. But I guess too many people started doing it and just sort of like, skinny jeans versus regular jeans versus bootcut jeans or whatever. Words are kind of trendy too. Not quite. I mean, it takes a little longer to kind of get there kind of thing. But now like people like snub their nose at you if you use cheers to sign your emails. Remember, you're supposed to use, kind regards is what you're supposed to use. I've never actually used kind regards. I don't know. I guess it would depend on the context. Like I said, you want to use what's right for you on that kind of thing. But understand that the words that we use are an agreement among all of us, right? It's an agreement among all of us to say that these words mean this and convey this and that kind of thing. So just stay abreast of it, right? Stay in front of it. Steep yourself in words and steep yourself in what is working. And don't do anything too trendy either. I want you to always hear my voice saying, be clear, be clear, be clear, right? We always want to be clear at the expense of everything else. We want to make sure that people get what we're saying and we don't make them work too hard to figure our stuff out. And again, another thing I see some brands do is don't try to, if you're an older person, don't try to be one of the kids and write in their cool kid lingo. That ain't ever going to work. Just so you know, they see through that. They can tell that you're not one of them. Be you, but don't do stuff like that. That's dumb. That's dumb. You're going to get found out for doing it. It's not, and the social media repercussions of doing stuff like that and getting it wrong they far outweigh the upside of somebody thinking you were cool or whatever. Kind of know who you are, that kind of thing. Which brings me to my last tip, number 5. Make sure you're picking words that are consistent with your brand's personality. If your brand is inspiring, make sure you're picking words that are inspiring. Be clear. I'm saying always be clear, but inspiring. If your brand personality is built around fun, then make sure the words that you choose are around fun. Do some real, you ever heard the term wordsmithing? That's where we kind of look at a sentence and we kind of take it apart and we look at every specific word and say, is there a better word that's going to get us there? That kind of thing, and start to kind of, it's like building something out of Legos. You're just kind of like, well, this one fits in here, but wouldn't it fit even better if it had this and it had a crane attached to it? And wouldn't that be awesome? And that's sentence structure that kind of we go through. Is your brand kind of goofy? Then maybe you have like more goofier words and that kind of thing, and a goofier personality, in the sentences that you're creating. Or do you have something that's built around trust and trustworthiness, and then you want to make sure you have words that deliver that. Whatever you are, make sure you are picking the words that are consistent with that. Just the same way that graphic designers look and say, did you know there are scientific studies that show that certain colors evoke certain emotions and mean certain things? Most everybody in marketing, probably knows that, your darker blues and greens and that are kind of assigned with trust. Your reds are assigned with power. Your no color. I don't know what that means, to be honest. I gotta look it up. I always just have to look it up. But and it's like, do those things really mean that? Yeah, if enough people agree they do. This whole thing is not about discovering, the one eternal truth here. It's about doing what is going to move your marketing forward. What is going to be the best thing, for your marketing. I think, almost every brand book that I see, created, has this in there. It has people in there that are saying, it has, these are the kind of images that we are using. These are the words that we're going to use to communicate the brand personality. And graphic artists are good at being able to kind of do this, but help them. Let's make sure we help them on the marketing side of things, that we have, a good idea of the words that we're going to use. It's just real important stuff. And making sure it's consistent with the brand's personality is just doing your job. I have, once I do messaging with one of my clients, I create a document called a message map. And then we use that message map for all content creation. They're creating a video. Great. Let's make sure we stay on the message map. They're doing this. Great. That kind of thing. So I'd advise you to do that too. That's important. Those are my tips. So what have we learned, class? We know that words matter. We know that they are the foundation of all great marketing. And yet sometimes, bad choices are made, like licking your finger and turning the page in a press conference about why you shouldn't touch your face. As marketers, our very first skill set should be the words that we use to sell, to motivate, and the words that we use to create value. If you pick the right ones, you're going to make sure that your marketing is absolutely spectacular. That's it for me, folks. I'll be back in a week with a fresh show. Make sure you're washing your hands out there and stop buying up all the toilet paper. Lord. See ya.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Entertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.